Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches, exposing the lies about alcohol.
And giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol-free.
And don't forget, grab a copy of our wine-free weekend guide after the show.
Hello. Welcome. Woohoo. Another week, another podcast. And I love being here with you, Ruby. So much fun.
Me too.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're doing this together. I would not want to be doing this by myself. It's just so much more fun.
And what do you think of my new hair?
My
sister, she cut it and then straightened it. And thank you. Yeah.
Ooh, I really like it. I love your beautiful blonde hair. And I love your shirt. You're wearing the shirt today. We're kind of a little bit matchy. You've got your royal blue on. I have my royal blue on. So yeah.
And we didn't even plan it that way. We just showed up and went, oh, we're wearing the same color.
We must have, great minds think alike. So if you, of course, are listening on one of the podcast platforms, you don't see us, but I just wanted to remind everyone that we are on YouTube as well. So if you want to see at least my dorky face and Ruby's beautiful face.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm always like, whoa, when I look at the video, I'm always like, ew, I don't like looking at myself. But we do look kind of matchy today. And you have the beautiful pink on. I have pink lipstick. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk about what we're talking about today because it comes up so much in client conversations when we're coaching. Yes. And so I'm just going to jump into the question today. It's all about self-sabotage. Oh, so frustrating, right? When we do that, when we, do things we don't want to do, right? Mm-hmm. So here is the client question or the listener question. Does anyone else feel the need to self-sabotage when you're feeling so much happiness and freedom? I'm not used to being happy and my mind wants to mess it up. Anyone else, or am I alone in this? Wow.
I so relate to this question. And you are not alone. To the listener, you are not alone in this. I think it boils down to the feelings, like feeling happy. And so let's define, I'm going to start with a definition. I looked this up so that we could say it very properly. So we all know what we're talking about because it's kind of slang or lingo, right? Self-sabotage. We use it a lot. I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But it's so here's the definition. So it's when you get in your own way, doing things that stop you from reaching your goals, like putting things off or being too hard on yourself. And it happens because of old habits in our minds that used to help us, but don't anymore. So obviously, alcohol is the big one here that we're talking about. But yeah, so I used to be scared of those new, authentic, happy feelings. I thought I felt happy when I was drinking, but honestly, that was fake. It was not real. And when I started to feel, we talk about pink cloud or just those happiness feelings that come up. I'm pointing to my chest if you're watching the YouTube, and it's like, all of a sudden I'm like, that's powerful. It felt very powerful. Mm-hmm. And it was a little scary. And, I think that sometimes we self-sabotage consciously, but I also think we can self-sabotage unconsciously. And here's an example where you're having a happy occasion and you've decided you're not going to drink, but all of a sudden there's a drink in your hand and you don't even remember doing any of it. I think this can happen kind of unconsciously or in the subconscious level, but I also think it can happen consciously where you say, F it, right? Or I always fail, or there's something going on, that cognitive dissonance. And it can happen where you are so scared of feeling happy that you're just going to drink. I mean, I know your story is a little different. We were kind of briefly talking about it. What is your story around this, Susan?
Well, I relate to what you're saying is about being uncomfortable feeling happy because we're not used to feeling that way, right?
Right.
And when we used to feel that way, happy, the subconscious belief was that alcohol would just make that even better. So that could be what the cue is. Oh, I feel good. And the cue is the drinking, your subconscious cue is, oh, and drinking will make it better. And that's maybe where you would find yourself, unbeknownst, somehow with a drink in your hand, and for me, I don't know, I wouldn't say I was scared of feeling happy, but I felt uncomfortable feeling not happy. I would say I started feeling good about myself. And that felt uncomfortable because I wasn't used to feeling good about myself. My comfort zone was feeling bad about myself. And the way I got things done in life was to beat myself up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would produce, right? So that was sort of the way I used to do things. So if I felt good about myself, did that mean that I wasn't going to achieve? That was sort of my dysfunctional pattern. And so when we start to feel good, that's outside of that pattern. And so our subconscious can start to want us to stay safe, want us to feel the way we used to feel because this is uncomfortable. And there's also sometimes these old messages. For me, I remember clearly having this thought was like, I was feeling good about myself. And all of a sudden I had this thought like, am I conceited? Which is such a high school word. Do you remember using that word in high school?
Yeah, you're conceited.
Like,
yeah.
Conceited. Yeah. And it was like the weirdest thing that word came to me. But then because of that word, I remembered like that wasn't okay. Like if you were conceited, everybody hated you. So then in my subconscious, it's like, oh, if you feel good about yourself, everybody's going to hate you, which makes no sense. But our subconscious sometimes doesn't make any sense. That's just what we were told.
Yeah.
Or as a kid from my parents, what is the other message from my parents was don't toot your own horn, Susan. So, when you're like 5 years old and you're like, I'm the best dancer in the whole world. I remember my daughter saying that to me. I said, Lauren, do you want to take dance lessons? She goes, I already know how to dance. And I'm like, okay. But you know how kids are like that because that's how we're born. Like we're born feeling good about ourselves. So guess what? The reasons why we don't feel good about ourselves as we grow up are all these messages we get. Mm-hmm. And so the message I got was don't toot your own horn. Mm-hmm. So you start to feel good about yourself. And then it's like, oh no, that's not good. So
it's unsafe or different, or it's a form like it's discomfort. Yeah. And that limiting belief, whatever it is, it's strong. It's a strong message underneath that can come from your subconscious or conscious thought. Like some people literally have a thought like, I am not going to drink. And then it's literally that battle, right? That battle back and forth. And you might just say, well, I haven't figured out how to get alcohol free yet. So I'm just going to F it. Yeah. Click that F it button again.
Click the F it button. Somebody posted in one of the groups I'm in, which was really an interesting way to shift, is that the F it button is really the F me button.
Mm-hmm. The self-sabotage.
Because it is self-sabotage, right? Mm-hmm. Even though, yes, and our subconscious, so those old beliefs are like a cue and they're a drinking cue, so it's like it starts up again. It's similar to what we talked about in our episode on green light thoughts or permission giving thoughts. It starts up that thing of like, you'd feel better if you feel good now, you'll feel even better if you have a glass of wine that will enhance this. Or if you're feeling, oh yeah, you shouldn't feel good about yourself. So it would just, it's so insidious. And sometimes it doesn't even come out as like complete sentences. It's just all of a sudden you're drawn to a behavior that is going to give you the same results that you're used to, which is feeling bad about yourself. Right. And that's because that's just your comfort zone. And it is a process of getting more and more comfortable or increasing your window of tolerance, your watt, to increase your window of tolerance, even for good feelings, which is so funny to think about. But
right. We all talk about like people are, I'm so confident that I have all these tools for when I'm stressed or when I have overwhelm or when I'm angry or when I'm, sad. but it's that self-sabotage can totally happen when you're happy.
Yes.
And people get kind of like shocked about it. Like this woman's question, it's just like, am I alone in this? Does this happen? And you are not alone in this. I want to keep saying that because that's really important. And I think the antidote to self-sabotage is self-compassion. So this self-sabotage will keep you in that day one cycle. You might have heard like, I'm on another day one. I'm on another day one. But if we can come with so much self-compassion to this, with mindfulness, knowing you're not alone, other people are having this too, and just really getting kindness to yourself. How can you be so kind? Like you would talk to a little child or the little Ruby or the little Susan, toot your own horn. Go ahead and toot your own horn, like, so some of these beliefs come from your childhood. And this is what we work with clients. We get to the root, the belief, and we start to pick it apart, detangle it. And it's such a great experience to work with clients around their limiting beliefs. And
absolutely. It's
absolutely.
Like the voice in your head. Is that voice even yours? Don't be conceited. Right. Don't toot your own horn. That's not my voice. That's a voice that, had influence in me, and unpacking that. So I think we call it like, following that back to the cave and figuring out, where did that come from? The cave of our subconscious. And so that could be the cue, right? And then there's the behavior, which would be drinking, and that creates a reward. The dopamine hit, how you feel, even going back to your comfort zone of feeling bad, even though that seems weird. You wake up the next day and you feel bad about yourself, but that's what you're used to. And then the feeling bad about yourself creates another need to drink again. And that's part of the cycle. And that keeps you on this, I call a wheel of self-sabotage. So it's the cue, the craving or the behavior, the reward that then feeds back. Even though the reward could be a negative reward, it's still a reward of comfort, right? Of feeling bad about yourself and then going back to the same behavior.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about self-compassion, because we can have self-compassion for ourselves at any point across this wheel, even if we engaged in the behavior. Because if we have self-compassion for ourselves, even after we get the reward and engaged in the behavior, we can unpack it. That's what we like to call them data points. If we take the time to come from a objective perspective with self-compassion to go, what the heck happened here? And we can dissect it a little bit, get the data. And I love this exercise. I have a worksheet called Learn and Move Forward. And then we say, well, what would I do differently? When we do that exercise, we're teaching our brain a different way. And it also is a way of exiting the wheel of self-sabotage. But you can also exit it at the cue, just realizing, oh yeah, this is that thought, because
thoughts are just a thought.
Thoughts are a thought, not beating yourself up for even having the thought. Or you can ride the craving during the behavior. You just don't engage in the behavior and you do some sort of urge surfing or distraction. So there's ways to exit the wheel at all of the different levels.
Yeah. I think I love all of what you're saying. And I was going to learn from you today, because I use different words for the cue, behavior, reward, but I love how you worded that. And I think when I go back, because I'm going to go back to the question and like the definition of self-sabotage, and it's about you're doing the things that stop you from reaching your goals. So when I look at that and think about that, I think the elephant in the room here is that we're looking at our past and not our future. So if we look at our past and focus on the past, and we haven't reached the goals in the past, and then maybe we're ruminating on that and thinking about that. But if we can tap into our future self and notice every small gain and have self-compassion for every time we have a data point, I think that's the key here to really moving through this self-sabotage piece is the self-compassion. It totally is. And then like tapping into your future self, because if you can visualize and see yourself, let's just use, alcohol free, or getting a lot of momentum and really feeling good and being confident in your feeling good, then yeah, you won't be. For me, I learned how to feel those feelings. It wasn't, it was like moving into taking up more space and feeling okay with being who I truly authentically am and discovering who that is. And it was a process,
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. Same. Yeah. It's getting used to feeling good about yourself, which sounds weird, but it's true, right?
And it happens to so many of our clients and so many people we meet. You are not alone. This feeling happy and then wondering, wait, I'm not supposed to feel this happy, am I?
Yeah. Well, and Brene Brown calls it foreboding joy.
Right.
It's like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. So it's like, oh, I feel happy now, but I'm pretty sure I won't feel, there's got to be some shoe that's going to drop, and that idea that we're not allowed to feel happy, that we're going to somehow get, in my mind, I have this somehow I'm going to get screwed. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I've just discovered that. That's like, oh, don't get too big for your britches. You're going to get knocked down a peg. Don't feel too good about yourself. Don't be conceited. It's like, where does that come from? That conditioning, it's just so interesting.
I'm picturing a 1980s girl dressed in like bright colors with her hair ponytail on the side, and she's chewing gum and she's saying, "Don't be conceited," or something.
Yeah, total 80s.
That voice in your head, Yes. I love to, you can name it. I love to come up with these like characters and kind of make it funny, and your voice in your head. And then if you can figure out, maybe there's multiple voices. You might have your mom's voice, right? Don't toot your own horn. And then, or, a mean girl voice.
Yeah. And that's a big deal in high school. And it's actually a big deal as a human, because we all want to be part of the tribe. So if there's something that we think is going to keep us from being accepted by the tribe, like being conceited or feeling too good about yourself, then our brain is going to want to move us away from that, because we as people want to connect. And if we feel like that's going to keep us from connecting, which is just fascinating. This is the stuff that helped me so much, because like the wheel of self-sabotage, seeing each of the points like in my mind and going, am I at the cue? Am I at the behavior? Am I at the reward? Just helped me be more analytical about it, instead of getting caught up in the emotion of it or caught up in the whirlwind of it. It helped me take a step back and go and realize I could step off. It just gave me more agency, I guess, understanding. And that's what understanding the science has always done through my alcohol-free journey, is understanding, oh, that's what my brain's doing. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So once you're aware of something, you can change it. You can't change something if you're not aware of it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of, clients, we were just talking about, I think if I could share a client story, or what I see a lot, is that thought, or that self-sabotage thought of I'll always fail. I think that is so common. And it goes back to, maybe you haven't figured it out yet, right? And you look back at your past failures, meaning you went back to drinking. But when you really work on all of your underlying beliefs at a substance, society, or social level, as well as your self level, we spend most of our time on the self level, and then pairing that with like your future self, and then we work on like hope versus doubt, and a thought is just a thought. And like you really can get to a life that you don't want to escape from. You really can get there. I want to give you so much hope that you can get there, and that you never are a failure unless you stop trying. So you just keep trying. How many times I say that to my clients, to the different groups I work with. You cannot fail if you keep trying. It's just not possible. So
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's so great. And each time you start again, or I don't even say start again, like keep moving forward, you're moving forward from a place of more experience. If you do the work, if you do the work to get the data, it doesn't feel good to get the data, right? We blunt, have a oopsie or, and we don't want to look at it usually because we think we're going to come from a place of beating ourselves up. So that's a practice. That self-compassion is a practice of being able to kind of look at it subjectively and then ask yourself, what would I have done differently? What tool, or even asking yourself, okay, I need a tool then for this. I may, like you said in the beginning, I may have tools for when I'm sad, angry, da, da, da. Oh, I need a tool from when I'm happy. What?
Yes.
But then you have that data and you can go, okay, and you're working with a coach and you can be like, okay, how do I work with this? And then we give you a tool and you practice it. And then it's like, okay, you have a plan for the next time you feel this way. You don't have to do this self-sabotaging behavior again, and you're starting from that place of empowerment and experience. So,
and one coaching call can make such a difference, you guys. I have some clients where they had a data point and they drank, and then they wake up and they beat themselves up, and they also, from the alcohol, you just feel that depression and the sadness, and I love it when I can just have a call with someone right after that, because we dig in, and then, we can really turn it around, because you are just gaining more data. And what happened? What did you drink? We'd really dig in there, and it's just a part of the process. Data points are a part of the process. And, and you can say something like, I just haven't gotten there yet. I'm learning from this data point. Everybody messes up sometimes. These are some of the things that you can turn it around. You can have alternate thoughts.
Yeah. And you know what? That's when clients don't want to come to their coaching call, or they don't want to have the accountability with you. And that's when you need to come the most.
Exactly.
Don't hide from us. We are here from you. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. Those are the calls that are going to take you the furthest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Instead of waiting. Yeah. So, so good. Yeah. So,
yeah. And if you're not in a coaching relationship and you have some sort of tribe, you're in our Facebook group, or you're in a group coaching program, or if you're on your own, you have someone that you can go talk to about this. Reach out, go to a meeting, like if you're on an online, if you have a little group meetings or something. I mean, this is a very hard thing to do on your own. So I encourage you to get into some sort of community where you can put it out there, what happened, because you get so much compassion from the other participants that it helps you find your own self-compassion, because and also when you give compassion for others, it teaches you how you should be talking to yourself. So the tribe is just so important. So, we're always encouraging you, if you're not in a coaching relationship, at least join our Facebook group, because we have some people in there that are day 6, day 7.
I love it. Yeah,
I know.
Moving along. It's so fun.
Yeah, using the podcast to get information and for their journey. So I love it. And we're there supporting that. We are there cheering you on. So and the other participants too, the other people in our group. So really excited to see you in there, especially if you don't have a tribe of your own.
Mm-hmm. And you can have a tribe of 2, meaning you and your coach. So I call it, and sometimes that is the most important. If you cannot share, if there's something that you just really only want to share confidentially with one person, that's also a really good time to get a coach, a private coach where it's confidential. And I've heard it all and I relate. And so it's a really safe place to share. And some things you maybe never shared with anybody on the planet. And I remember doing that, and it's powerful to move through some of the shame and blame with another human being, because we're all humans. So I wanted to say that, and I forgot that I wanted to mention this really quick, Susan, that when you wake up in the morning and you start to beat yourself up for maybe drinking, what you could do is name that voice. Like, you could be laying there in bed and the first thought could just be really like, oh, you did it again. And guess this is what it would sound like for me. And just, you're so stupid, or why did you self-sabotage again, or whatever you're going to talk about. But you could then like look at it and say, oh, I get it. It happened. It's okay. It happens to anybody, everyone. People mess up. And just so much compassion. Well, what can I learn from it? How can I be kind to myself right now? I'm going to drink a lot of water, eat really good today, and I'm going to get right back on that horse, whatever, pull up your big girl pants, and you just keep going at it. You're never failing. You keep moving forward. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Oh my gosh. What I would say is, oh my gosh, you're such a jerk. You're such a loser. You're never going to get this. What's wrong with me? That was always the big one. And that's a question that's like, that's the worst question you can be asking yourself. And if these self-compassion phrases don't even come easily for you, like they didn't for me, you can have them written down like on sticky notes, like on the inside of a cabinet in your bathroom or on your bathroom mirror, of just to remind yourself, that hashtag because human, there's nothing wrong with you. This is a process, progress, not perfection. Even though I hated that because I'm such a perfectionist. It was like, what's that mean? But that it's true. And honestly, self-compassion is the quickest way to exit any of these places on the self-sabotage wheel. So I love that you shared that. Yeah. So good. So speaking of good, the best part of the podcast, in my opinion, is when I ask Ruby what you're doing today or in your life right now to feel lit.
Okay. So feeling lit is feeling good, feeling ignited, feeling on fire. And since we've been talking a lot about happy, and, the question was really about, feeling happiness and then self-sabotaging. So I thought I'd talk about how can you just start to notice when you're feeling happy in your everyday life, and, not having any fear or judgment or anything, but just little glimpses of it. And what I do is I will just sit quietly and listen or be in nature. You can also, for me, what I started to, it works for me, is I started to, when I feel the good feelings, whatever I think are good feelings, like the happiness, the joy, the love, I put my hand on my chest, and if you're watching the YouTube, you can see it, and I start to I notice it almost like I'm happy right now, and say those words and in my head and feel it right now. I want us to, for all of us, I mean, I think the meaning of life there, now I'm getting real as existential on you. The meaning of life is maybe just to feel feelings. What if that's just this is what we're here to do. And it's, some of the feelings are we've labeled them as negative, and some of them we've labeled them as positive. But if we just notice when we feel happy, and, the more I think that you notice the feelings that you want to feel more of, the more you will feel and notice those feelings that you want to feel more of. So what you could do is just sit down and do a really simple journaling exercise. It's like, answer this question. What feelings do I want to feel more of? And, for me, it was peace and joy and different feelings. And then start to notice. So it's about awareness, right? Awareness and noticing it. And then almost like creating a picture, or like just noticing it. Now, you may need to set an alarm. This also goes with like the staying above 50% tactic that we talk about. But like, if you set an alarm and like, how are you feeling? And then notice when you're feeling good, like, oh, okay, I'm feeling good. And then go, okay. And maybe do something on your body and like, just, okay, it's happening. I do feel it. And even if it's just little tiny slivers throughout your day, if you notice it and focus on it, those will grow. Does that make sense? Did you believe that,
Yeah.
Susan? This is
No,
like
I
my
love
belief.
that.
I don't know. Yeah.
No, what's coming to me with that is it's the same thing as notice, name, allow that we talk about around negative emotions that we want to escape, right? But we're using it for the positive emotions. And as we notice, name, and allow and kind of recognize that we're feeling it, we are increasing our tolerance for feeling that way.
Exactly.
Just like we are for the negative ones, but for the happy ones, because again, going back to what we talked about at the beginning, we're not used to feeling happiness or joy or peace. And we need to so this is, and I think I love the idea of like adding a tactile, touching your heart. Like I'm feeling content or I feel peace and I'm noticing it, I'm naming it. And I'm like anchoring it in.
Exactly.
And also you're saying to your subconscious brain, I can feel this way and I'm safe.
And if you don't feel safe, like if that feeling is too big, scary, whatever word you want to use, you can then go to something that I love is like, I'm safe, I'm happy, I'm okay. I'm safe, I'm happy, I'm okay.
Ooh.
And then start to feel this little glimmer of love. Love might be a really powerful one that you're not used to. We have to recalibrate our emotions. And I know we've talked about it on several of our podcasts, but we'll talk about it again because this is a really big, that's why we call it Feel Lit Alcohol Free. Like this is a big part of the alcohol free journey. And that's why we named our podcast this. It's about feeling lit. And feeling it.
And feeling it. Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, that's the process. And we're not used to doing that because we used to drink our feelings away. We used to drink, at least for me, happy feelings, sad feelings, mad feelings, and all the feelings. And so we're just not used to feeling them. And so that's part of the process. And actually, you wouldn't think you have to get used to feeling happy, but
you do.
You do. Yeah.
And you're not alone. This is what almost everybody has to go through. It's like, wait a minute. Why didn't we learn to feel feelings? Well, we grew up in all when I meet people from all over the world, all of us seem to have had parents that were like, don't feel your feelings.
Yes.
It's just not, obviously there are exceptions, but I mean, that seems to be like, oh, just numb your feelings. Don't feel your feelings, avoid your feelings.
We don't have strong feelings in our family. Yeah. We in my family, it was sort of like the stiff upper lip, we just charge on through. We don't complain.
No crying.
Be
happy. Put a smile on your face. Turn that frown into a smile, those kinds of, so,
but not too much.
Okay.
But don't toot your own horn. Don't feel too happy because then you'll be conceited, or like, don't feel too good about yourself. Like crazy, right? And my gosh. Yeah. It's a wonder we all made it as far as we have.
Well, we had our coping tool of wine or alcohol for a lot of us. So at least people listening here probably. So, okay.
Absolutely. So, well, we're at the end of our time together and I look forward to being with you all again soon. But if you want to connect with us more, again, join our Facebook community. Right now we're giving away mugs. Oh, can you hold up your mug, Ruby?
So if you're on
you have it right here.
YouTube, we have this lovely mug with our faces. and I'm wearing my t-shirt. We'll probably be giving away t-shirts too. Occasionally. We want to get more. Yeah. We want to have some giveaways.
But for people who are really engaging, we're just sort of randomly going, hey, you've posted a lot lately. We want to send you a mug. So join us, post, share. We'd love to see you there and connect with you even more. But for now, we will say adios. Goodbye.
Have a wonderful weekend and week. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to Feel Lit Alcohol Free Podcast. Do you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show?
All you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do two simple things. Leave a rating and review telling us what you think of the show. And in that review, ask us any questions you have about breaking free from wine or living an alcohol-free lifestyle.
That's it. Then tune in to hear your question answered live. Don't forget to grab your copy of A Wine-Free Weekend at www.feelitpodcasts.com.
And remember, do something today that will help you feel lit.
See you next time.